good day to you. This is Anagalactic on the 24th day of June in 2025. This is a memorial. I just recently found out that one of the last connections with David Bohm, who is a guru, he's a Western holy man, he died in 1992, but his collaborator, Basil Hiley, just died in January of this year. I hadn't been aware of Basil Hiley except by name, by association with David Bohm. And we're now reaching the end of our 10 video series on David Bohm. If you have not heard of David Bohm, or it's just an abstract name in a list from a classroom you've forgotten, David Bohm was the greatest of the quantum mechanists, and he was the last. When David died in 1992, quantum mechanics died with him. So he is the successor of Einstein, who called David his son, and the Dalai Lama, the head of Tibetan Buddhism, also called David Bohm his son. And David had an enormous impression on many people. He did have enemies. Robert Oppenheimer, who was a genuine traitor, attempted to turn David Bohm into the FBI CIA system under the auspices of the House of Un-American Activities, which of course was a satanic incursion, probably explicitly to thwart David Bohm's science, because David Bohm was much more than a scientist. At an early age, he understood the unity of the universe in such a deep way that it affected him for the rest of his life, until the day he died. Now, the man who just died this year, just 6 months ago, on January 25th, 2025, this man named Hiley, Hiley, was the last living connection with David Bohm, except for one other man, Pete, David Peat, that's P-E-A-T. Both of these men were so close to the philosophy and science and religion of David Bohm that they were permanently affected. And this is actually the outcome of David Bohm's metaphysical extrapolation of quantum mechanics. In this brief section that we're going to hear now, as a tribute to this great man, you will hear now the voice of Basil Hiley. And from this, your life will be changed. There won't be any way for you to avoid being changed. You are being drawn into the matrix. Except it's not the goddamned motherfucking movie version of the Matrix. That movie was meant to undermine you because it's a satanic replacement for something so real that if it doesn't affect you, you're going to hell. I mean that metaphorically, but I think you can tell by the way I'm staring that I don't mean it metaphorically. You're in deep, deep trouble. Until now. And I never say anything negative, except with the intent to do an enantiodromia. Enantiodromia is a term from Carl Gustav Jung's philosophical approach to reality. And enantiodromia is a term from psychoanalytics, which you know as psychology, but I know it way more deeply than you ever will. Enantiodromia is the process of total reversal. The total reversal is contextual. It takes place in the mind, and you can think of it as the foreground, background, foreground, background, where the foreground is black and the background is white. And when you look at it white-black, you see something. It makes a pattern. But in an instantaneous shift, You see the white instead of the black. And that's magic. And that's the true meaning of magic, which can also be turned into necromancy, which is a mortal sin. And that's the movie, The Matrix. The movie, The Matrix, is satanic because of the foreground-background shift. And now that makes 5 minutes of bracketing information, so you'll be prepared for what you are about to hear, which will be equivalent to you putting your hand on the mirror, as Neo did when he was coming on to 10,000 micrograms of super LSD. Get ready, it's going to happen faster than you can think. This is Basil Hiley.
So what I want to do in this talk is to try and explain the mathematics that lie, the ideas in the mathematics that lies behind this structure process idea.
The mathematics that lies behind this structure idea.
Keep emphasizing probably is the word algebra.
Algebra.
And I think David Bohm, it's nice to remember David Bohm just here. He said to me, I don't know around the world, but we have a snake called an adder in this country. I don't know whether it has the same name elsewhere.
Adder? Adder.
So David said to me, how do you turn an adder into an algebra?
How do you turn an adder into an algebra?
And I said, I don't know. He said, oh, go and tell it to multiply.
Teach it to multiply.
The whole point about an algebra is that there are two things you do. You can either add things,
it's the definition of algebra.
Or you can multiply things.
The definition of algebra.
You can do. And from that, magic.
Magic!
Okay. And so what I've been...
Hey! We'll listen to a little bit more, but I wanted you to hear the voice of one of the last geniuses who died this year. By the way, I don't know if you know it or not, but Iran has been targeted by the United States for extermination. So there won't be one more generation of humans. Now, what Dr. Hiley is going to go on to say here is to attempt the impossible, to explain the Bohmian metaphysic. The Dalai Lama understood it. Einstein tried to understand it, but Einstein is pretty ancient. Bohm is a half a generation ahead of Einstein, so Einstein couldn't catch up. And so he just passed off the scene. But David carried on in the true tradition of science, which is now lost. And now that we've lost Basil, there is nothing left. Except there always is, and you're looking at him. I'm the successor now. You're tuned in to the right station, but there are no other comparable stations. Now, I did want to give the good side. As I say, I very reluctantly mention anything negative, like your condition, or the condition of science, or the world, the total hegemony of evil. I try, when I have to mention these facts, which are killing you but not me, then I need to do an enantiodromia and turn that into the ultimate good. You see, Satan does not work independently except on a leash. And Satan is the creator's little lapdog. It's really brutally violent down here on this planet what Satan accomplishes. And the murder of 10 million Ukrainian farmers, that's pretty satanic. The murder of 80 to 100 million white Russians, that's pretty satanic. The murder of 6 million Jews, well, that was for a good reason. But the murder of the Ukrainian farmers was for no good reason. The murder of the Russians was for no good reason. Now I want to do an enantiodromia so that you'll have the opportunity to see the legacy of David Bohm as it crashes and burns. It's called the PARI Institute, one of the most beautiful places I have ever seen. It's in the Tuscany region of Italy. Every single person who operates at that institute puts, oh God, I don't want to attack a man who deserves being attacked. But there's a New York American who's setting up another institute, not really in Italy, but on the Adriatic coast. And his name is David Maudlin. I had high hopes for David Maudlin and his institute of basically the fundamentals of physics. He's crashed and burned because it's very hard to keep up with the truth. The cutting edge of truth, it's a razor walk. So here come the lawnmowers, and so you won't be able to hear me without that noise in the background. So that's 11 minutes. Stay tuned. I'll have more later. And we're going to go on and understand the difference between addition and multiplication. That will change your life as a scientist. Or you'll pass on with Einstein and David Maudlin. You'll fall off the way. You'll never catch up. And I would like to call you an evil name, but I know it won't do any good. Because as it says in the Holy Scripture, someone who is determined to be stupid, there is nothing in heaven or earth that will prevent that person from remaining stupid. No matter what you can hit them, you can beat them to death while trying to talk them out of their obstinacy. They won't, and they'll die retarded. I sincerely hope that that's not going to be you. But statistically, I'm afraid I know your fate. Thank you for tuning in. I'm thanking you, not because I need you at all, but actually, I kinda do. And if you don't respond to me, you're going to be culpable in a way you never foresaw. So thank you for tuning in. We'll be right back.